everyone. Welcome to Hawaii Abroad Audio Podcast. I'm your host, Auntie Max, and today is another Aloha Friday. It's a day where I interview former Hawaii residents and get to listen and share about their journey, how they relocated away from our islands. In today's episode, I get to talk story with a native Hawaiian that is now living away from the islands and been experiencing many different areas throughout this globe, nationally and internationally. He's a former resident of the island of Hawaii and also a Kamehameha School graduate. I'm going to allow him to share with you where he's originally from, where he is located right now, and share a little bit about him and his journey from his transition from Hawaii to where he now is in Georgia. I'm so excited to share this with you folks. So why don't we just get to it? Hui, aloche, how are you?
Aloha, Auntie. It's good to be here. I'm originally from the Big Island, in a town Pahala in the Kau district. Born and raised there. Right now, I'm currently living in Middle Georgia, a little town called Kathleen, which is right outside of the outskirts of the Air Force Base there, where I work as a civil service. So just to share my relocation journey, I guess the military is what brought me to move around to different places when I was younger. I didn't go into the military until I was 22. Actually, after I graduated from Kamehameha in 1989, I went back to the Big Island and went to Hilo Community College and got my associate's degree in automotive mechanic. And then I ended up working in Pahala at the sugar mill as a diesel mechanic apprentice. Back in 1992 is when we were the first group of workers that got laid off from the plantation because they were gonna eventually shut down. And that's when my dad actually mentioned, why don't you just get away for a little while, see the world, join the military. So I was like, okay, just like that. So in 1994 is when I entered basic training in the United States Air Force, and here I am now. I don't think I planned to stay in the military for long. I think I ended up retiring after 21 years. My first intention was to just work 4 years, get an experience, and come back to Hawaii and just live the life. But once I went into the military, I ended up loving it and loving the places that you can go to and the experiences that I had and the people that I work with. So I ended up loving it and made it a career. So, with that said, my first duty station was in New Jersey. I spent 3.5 years there, and then I ended up moving overseas to England. I was in England for 5 years. Then I came back to the United States, and I was stationed in Albuquerque, New Mexico for 2 years, and ended up going to Japan for 8 years. After Japan, I came back to the United States, and I was stationed in Florida for 2 years, and then I retired. So this was a span of 21 years of my career. What brought me to Georgia, as I was retiring 6 months into my retirement, I initially planned to move back to Hawaii with my wife, as well as I had at the same time I was kind of seeking jobs there, putting out my resumes and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, there was only one place that actually accepted me to work, and that was in Georgia. So that was a spur of the moment. We packed up our things, our car, and drove up here 6 months later, and we've been here for almost 8 years now.
Wow. So the intent actually was to go back home, but the opportunity just wasn't there. So you
It
took
wasn't
whatever you
there,
got.
and correct, it wasn't there. And looking back, I think I always believe that there's always a reason for something.
Yes.
I've always believed that, and I think when I look back, I think I made the right choice by coming here. Now I'm actually, I enjoy my job. I love the people I work with. It keeps me financially stable, and This place is kind of resembles it. It kind of reminds me of back home because it's so country, it's so rural. Where I'm from, it's the same way, and they love to hunt. So I love to hunt as well here. So I kind of felt comfortable being here, and not only that, but I think the economy here is also good. It's so much. It's very the cost of living is cheap, and looking back, especially when I went home a couple months ago, it's just everything is so sky high. Um, I think, yeah, I was kind of fortunate to end up, in a place here.
Yeah, you you got it right on the nail. The economy back at home in Hawaii, it's crazy. It is very
Yes,
sky high. Um, so yeah, wow, it's interesting to hear your journey throughout the world, internationally and nationally. Yeah, so that's a lot of
yes,
experience that you gathered just to be able to see the places,
oh
let alone
yes,
working there.
yes. It was an experience, and not only that, but when you're at a base, you're always deploying to another location. So, with that said, I've been to other countries, multiple different countries, for anywhere between 1 week to 8 months, as a deployment. So it's an experience, and I loved everything, experiencing the different cultures, um, especially for me, coming from Hawaii, where we have a lot of multiple multicultural society. I love being somewhere else just to see and experience what other cultures do. It's a great experience.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. Wow, because I don't know, I am one that totally love our culture, and just
Hmm.
to experience other people's culture, that is some education together. That is awesome. Would you be able to share with me one culture that really stands out to you that you was able to experience?
So Japan, when being there for 8 years, they're very um, punctual. They're on time with everything. So if you ever have to go, for a reservation for dinner or something off base, to a restaurant, um, just remember that you have to be there on time because everybody's so prompt. But not only that is that they're very helpful, um, very giving people, and I kind of relate that to how it is back home. The hospitality, what we say, the aloha spirit. That's what I love. Just experiencing other cultures, and what makes it even intriguing is that if you go there with an open mind and just experience it and embrace their culture, they'll extend their open arms to you and just enjoy your company. There's always the stigma of other cultures going to another country and just trying to instill their beliefs there. But if you go there with an open mind, they'll love you to death, and they'll show you everything. This is what we have, this is what we do here in this town, and so on and so forth. So it's it's a humbling experience, and it kind of opens up your eyes to see that a lot of the different countries are the same, uh, as far as the hospitality. It's just that you have to learn how to embrace it when you go there, and just enjoy it, just enjoy their life, enjoy everything about it.
Totally agree. That is the important part right there. Is that when
Yes,
you're visiting, you just make sure that you honor their culture and you respect it and embrace it. Yeah.
yes,
So
I agree.
that is awesome. How about the language in these different places? Were you able to pick up their language of somehow and at least be able to operate there?
So I actually had to take so in when just to backtrack on that, when I only went to Kamehameha my junior and senior year. So
Okay.
um, I remember a lot of the students that's been there for a couple of years before me, that's been there longer, they used to take like Japanese language, and I remember they were so proficient. But for me, I never took any of those language classes. So when I was stationed in Japan, I actually took a class, and it was a Japanese teacher, and he taught us how to speak fluently for a whole year. I took it, and it was enough for me to get by to Japan and talk to the people and so on and so forth. To the point where, by the time I left, I could speak almost fluently.
Nice.
And it was just, when I think back, it was just, my kids at the same time never took any Japanese class, but they picked up so easily that they also could speak fluently. And when I think back, it's just, I wish I could just continue doing it. Right now, I don't remember a lot of because you have to kind of stay um, proficient with your, speaking the language in order to um, be good at it. So, it's been over almost 10 years now since I've been away from Japan. So there's a lot of phrases now I remember, but it's just not as clear as it used to be when I was back there.
Yeah, it's like when you learn anything, really. If you stop doing it, you kind of
Yes.
lose it. Yeah, so
Yes, I agree.
yeah, that's awesome. I know, like, even with the kids, I mean, when they're immersed in something, they pick it up so quick, way
Oh,
faster
yes.
than us older ones when our database in our brain is kind of full already, you know?
I, I remember when I was still learning Japanese, my daughter was actually pretty good, and she was maybe 11 or 12, maybe 11. And we'd have her go, when we go out and eat, to have her, speak for us because she picked up so easily, and she was able to interpret the language for us and let them know what we wanted and this and so on and so forth. So, you know, so that kind of drove me to, what, I'm going to learn it myself while I'm there. So, which I did. And it was a good experience.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. Well, since we're talking about culture, would you be able to share with me a little bit about our culture, our Hawaiian culture? Are you able to do any of those practices while living away from Hawaii for so long?
So I know for me, I grew up, with Aloha spirit. So I'm very giving. So everywhere I go, I like to help people out, people in need. It's just a thing. I'm very soft-hearted about that. So whenever people, need any type of help, assistance, whether it's my friend or a neighbor, I'm always helping them. And it's something that we always learned as we were growing up. My parents, my dad especially, taught us to always help each other, help your family, help your friends, your neighbors, and so on. So I always do that everywhere I went. Um, uh, Also, being back home when we grew up, every time we went fishing or hunting, whenever we left the Aina, or we left the beach, we always say thank you. We go home because it's a respect. So same, that's the same practice that I do everywhere I go to. Like every place I go to visit, whenever I leave, I always say thank you. When I go into the woods during the winter time to go hunt deer and wild boar in Georgia, whether I catch anything or not, I always say thank you to the Aina before I go. It's just something that we were taught to always do, and practice wherever we went.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Another thing, being in different places, moving into different homes. Another practice we did is whenever I move into a new home, I always did a quick blessing. I always have like a bag of Hawaiian salt. So I'll mix a bowl, with water and Hawaiian salt, and I'll do a quick blessing around the house, sprinkle throughout the house, the rooms, around the yard, and everything. It's something I've always
Yeah.
done in over almost 25, 26 years since I've been away.
Yep. Got to get that pakai to help cleanse everything and get it ready for us, right? So, my
Yes.
kai.
And then one more thing, I like to garden. So I like to grow plants and vegetables. So I have a garden out there in my backyard, which I grow a maui lehua taro. And I was making I make my own poi at the end of the year. And I always, make, with the leaves, I'll make lau lau or palisamu or something. It's something I love to do. I love to eat. I miss the Hawaiian food and everything. So, why not? Why not, grow your own and try to, you know, provide your own. So I love making a lot of local foods back home. From back home. With just the food from a garden.
Wow, I'm impressed. That's awesome. So the climate is good there
The
in Neighborhood Garden.
the climate is good. It gets sometimes too hot. I'd say maybe in the high 90s, low 100s with high humidity, but you just have to kind of keep it water. You have to kind of water it more often. That's about it.
Wow, that is
But
awesome. That's
but
great.
yes, but it grows pretty good, and it's enough to where I can enjoy it throughout the year.
Yeah, yeah. And then teach the keiki about what's happening with that in
Yes.
the garden and stuff. Wow,
Correct.
I'm
And
impressed.
along with that, I like to share whenever I cook something. I always like to share with my coworkers. This is what we have. This is what we eat back home. What do you think? And they all love it. So
Oh,
it's good validations that what we do back home, other people really love too as well.
That's great. That's very healthy for you. So
Oh yes.
that is great. That's awesome. I'm so happy for you. Yeah, I'm not much of a green thumb when it comes to the yard. More of a bulldozer. I pull everything out.
Oh, it's okay. It's quick to
Yeah.
learn, quick to pick up though.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, great. So, those are the culture things that you share, that you work on. Do you share that with your keiki too?
Yes, so well, my keikis, my kids are all grown up now. They
Oh,
live
okay.
in multiple states. My son is in Texas, and my two daughters lives in Colorado. But they've grew up being exposed to what all the cultural stuff wherever I've been. So they're aware of you know what I do culturally. So I'm not quite sure if they're doing it there, with the different climates and so on. But I know
Yeah.
they were exposed to it as they were growing up.
Nice, nice. So I was wondering, how about sharing a little bit about experiences that you had in different areas, maybe even especially in Georgia, since that you've been there about 10 years, you said?
It's gonna be 8 years at the end
Eight
of this year.
years.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So comparing, just being able to be a Kanaka living away from Hawaii, is there differences there compared to Hawaii besides the economy, which everybody knows that is ridiculous at Hawaii, but anything else besides that?
So the Southern hospitality,
Mm.
that's kind of the same as the Aloha spirit that we have back home, and I kind of like that. Everybody here is so polite. So forgive me if I always say yes, ma'am, because I got used to saying that. Everybody here
Yeah,
in
no
in
problem. My son
Georgia,
does the same thing. He's been in Vegas for about 15 years, so he's like, "Yes, ma'am." I'm like, "Okay."
in Georgia, everyone call you either sir or ma'am, regardless of how old you are. So I'm so used to saying that as well. Responding with either yes sir or yes ma'am. So it's very, you know, the people here are so polite. Church going, especially. Um, and it's and the fact that it's where I live is very rural. It's kind of like feels like being in a small town. Reminds me of back home, which I kind of like. So it's a good experience for me, and I just love you know the experience here and the people.
Nice. How about back home? How about the some fond memories that you might have when you
So
was living at home?
I grew up fishing, hunting, and surfing, just like everyone else. The beach back home was about 3 miles from our town, so we used to hitchhike every Sundays or Saturdays. We wouldn't even hitchhike. We'd just carry our boards and walk out of the town to the highway and just walk towards the beach. And there's always going to be someone that'll pick you up from the town that's going to the beach. Never fails. And it's, you know, we did that throughout my, um, I'd say maybe sixth grade, throughout my ninth, 10th grade year until we started driving on our own. We just walked to the beach, and we always knew that there's always going to be someone, some auntie or uncle picking us up, going down because they're going to the beach with their family. And same thing,
Nice.
walking back to Pahala, somebody's going to pick us up and bring us back. And it was normal to see that. I don't think you see that a lot nowadays, but that was one of the things we just did. And being us kids, we just had a backpack and our boogie boards, and we'd just bring like a package of Portuguese sausage or hot dog, and then we go down to the beach and make a little small um, area where we can just grill it on the fire, and that's what we ate for lunch.
That's
So
cute.
it was fun. It was just some good memories, and if when I went home this past year, a couple months ago, that was one of the things we were talking about, just walking to the beach when we were growing up, and everybody used to laugh. Like, you don't see that nowadays. Um, and not only that, even hunting. No, I mean, my everyone hunts there back home, and that was one thing I missed, just going hunting every weekend. Um, my dad would take us fishing. I grew up free diving and always throwing nets. So my dad would always take us down to Kalai or South Point, and we go from along the coast and just throw a net alongside the shore and just catch whatever you have and then go home at the end of the day. It's one of those things that I missed. It's just I love the life. I miss it. It's a good way to remember all the memories that you did enjoying growing up.
That is wonderful memories. That is wonderful.
Yes.
So you grew up, you lived on the big island of Hawaii, but your junior senior year you went to Kamehameha. So you was dorming there?
Yes, I was in the dorms. My junior and senior year, it was a great experience. I'd never been to a school that had 400 plus students in one class. My graduating class in Ka'u was only 37. I think the whole entire school from kindergarten to 12th grade was probably no more than 300. So it was, I'd say coming from the Big Island and moving to Oahu, it was a culture shock for me because I wasn't used to seeing so many people in one school.
I
Um,
bet.
and I stay with my uncle and my auntie in Waipahu, and I had to learn how to catch the city bus for the first time from Kapalama or from Kalihi to Waipahu, and I was so nervous because it was another culture shock for me. So I was asking every student out there how to catch the bus, um, going over to Waipahu and back, and it was something that I picked up after a month or two. Wow, this is pretty cool. Like I love the experience. I never thought I'd see or experience this if I was just still growing up in the countryside, on the Big Island. So it was a good eye opener for me, just living a different experience on Oahu, and just seeing so many people and so many friends at the same time.
Wow. So that was a like a baby step for you because now you're like in a huge city.
Yes, I think living in Oahu for those 2 years helped prepare me for living in the mainland and joining the military because I wasn't uh, y- used to driving on the interstate. Everything was just country roads. So it, it was something that it was everything for me. It was an experience, and I think I just embraced everything. I just loved uh, going out and just experiencing something different that I wouldn't have experienced had I just stayed, on the Big Island all those years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's very different.
Yes.
Oahu and the Big Island is very different.
Oh,
And
it,
now
it
you're,
is.
and then you went internationally and nationally. So, wow, that's a lot of experience that you have now.
Yes.
Yeah, you can write a book about a Kanaka just going around the world.
It was something
That
I
is
love. I love doing it. It's just, each time I see something or do something outside of my culture, it's another thing that I learn, and it's one thing I hope to see younger folks do as they grow up and they decide to either move or live abroad and so on and so forth. Just
yeah,
just enjoy your life. Enjoy the experience.
nice. So let me ask you a question when it comes to Kamehameha, being able to go to Kamehameha, because that school is so different compared to a lot of our public schools throughout the state. And, just being able to get a little bit more of a higher education from that school. And then now you're a makua or you're an older man that already has kids that now they're adults. So I was just wondering about the education that they went through, not in Hawaii. Is that pretty different compared to what we have to offer our keiki in Hawaii?
I think my kids were blessed because they spent most of their time growing up overseas.
Mm-hmm.
So the schools on the base was kind of, I would say they're kind of higher education. They're the teachers were more engaged with the students. So and they learned a lot. They and at the same time they're able to learn the different cultures for whichever country we're in. So back in England, they learned a lot of the English culture as well, going to school there. And in Japan, my girls especially, after they finished school on the base, we take them off base to their kumon classes. And in Japan, it's kind of like an after school class uh, geared towards math. I think it's math and language. So my girls really kind of excelled in math and Japanese, and they'd spend maybe 2 hours there, maybe 2 times or 3 times a week. So it was like an addition to what they were learning on the base. So they were able to, I think, along with that, they were able to pick up a lot of, more knowledge if they weren't to go off base. However, the base did have good school program, that's for sure.
Nice. So you think that helped to set them up for their future, whatever
Yes,
path they chose?
yes, I think it made them more comfortable. Um, it took them out of their comfort zone. Like for me, you know, it took a lot for me to when I went to Kamehameha, just experiencing just it's a higher caliber education and just being with a lot of people. It took a lot for me to get out of my comfort zone just to be around there. And I think my kids growing up in the different schools overseas, I think that got them to where they are now. Just they're just be able to move on and just live comfortably everywhere and just experience it without having second thoughts or not or being forced to. You just go there and experience. They'll just do it regardless.
That sounds interesting. I mean, well, for me, it really sounds interesting because I'm actually a former educator, so I've been in the education system teaching for over 15 years. So I know how important it is to make sure that we're setting up our children, our kiki, before they hit the world. So that sounds great to me. I'm glad that they was able to get good education.
Yes, and it's something. Whenever I talk to my nieces and nephews, or especially my dad, they're always pushing them. You know what? Just go out. Go out and experience something outside of Hawaii because it's not only is it you know even if you're whether if you're in the military or working, it's still an experience. It's still a learning experience for you. Get exposed to whatever's out there, and not just live what growing up in the small town. Just enjoy it. Like my dad said, you can join the military, and go on and live your life somewhere, but just remember Hawaii is your home. And
Exactly.
if you don't expect the way you wanted your life to be overseas or wherever you're at, you can always come home to Hawaii. And I always believe that. Whenever I come home, it's like a it's like a reset for me because the life is so laid back and it's enjoyable that sometimes I get so caught up living in the States with work and just the busyness and everything, that whenever I come in or whenever I call my dad and just talk story with him on the phone, it's like a reset. I feel good again. Now I can actually go back and start work and do things again.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, we got to go home, feel the ocean, feel the
Yes,
sand, see our Aina, our family, and then yeah, just totally reset and then go back into our normal lives, right?
that was one thing I took for granted growing up. I never paid attention to anything I did. I just did whatever the life, enjoying the life in Hawaii until I left to join the military. And it wasn't until maybe 10 years into the military, a friend of mine um, decided to go to Hawaii for vacation with his wife. And he came back and he told me, wow, this place is so nice, beautiful. And I just can't believe how everyone there, like the locals, are just, when they're just enjoying life. He said, you can tell in their expression. I went to the beach and doesn't matter who the families are, everybody's just enjoying, laughing, and it's like no worries. And I was like, what do you mean? You can just tell, you can sense it. So I was like, you know what? Huh, that was it kind of got me because, I took everything for granted. So when I went back home, I was like, you know what? You're right. Here I am, at work sometimes in the military, and I'm so busy. We're working 12-hour shifts and just so caught up with work. Um, I flew home for leave for 30 days, and I finally saw that. I saw, how what he was talking about. Just and my brothers and everyone is just, regardless of what uh, problems you may have, if anything, they're still enjoying life. I was like, you know what? You're right. I never paid attention to that. And it kind of brought me back. Like, sometimes it helps ground me whenever I come home and visit or talk to my family and so on.
Yeah, you're so right. It's like it's normal. It's just a normal thing, so we don't really recognize it until someone else points it out to us. And yeah,
Right.
we just take advantage of things like that because it's just a normal thing. Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
So, yeah. So yeah, when you get caught up with the hustle and bustle, that can become the norm, and then, it's important to go back and to just reset. So I'm
Yes.
glad for you. And you just came back home a few months ago, you said?
Yes, I went there just for 10 days. I think it was from the last week of April throughout the first week of May.
Yeah. Nice, nice. And family doing okay?
Family doing okay. Well, exactly this, as a matter of fact, this was, I had planned to go home 2 years ago during my parents' 50th anniversary. So because of the COVID and the pandemic, we
Oh,
had to
yeah.
cancel our flight. So this was actually my ticket from back then, which I was able to use finally 2 years later.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, that COVID really threw everybody for a loop. But,
Oh, yes, it
when it
did.
comes to our culture part, that was really, really hard because we are very affectionate as people. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
So we always do the honey. We're always kissing everybody. Hello, goodbye, going to hugs, and then we couldn't. And it just felt so awkward. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, but I'm glad that we're finally getting a handle on this ma'i, this illness, so
Oh, yeah, I agree.
we can get back to normal. Yeah. So I'm so glad that you was able to share today with us. Before we close out, is there any message that you would like to share with us, especially the people in Hawaii, those that may be wanting to relocate or has relocated? So any message that you would like to share? Do you have a point?
Um, yes, I have a message for the young ones, especially, enjoy your life. If you plan to move or go abroad, go there and embrace everything, embrace the culture, learn the experience, love it, learn it, live it, love it, like they say. It's an experience not many people, especially in the stateside, don't have. A lot of people just stay within their radius, from their home. Go and experience everything. And like my dad said, Hawaii is always going to be your home. So if you're ready to come home, come home. But just go out and just experience the different cultures. Whether it's good or bad, but it's something that you've been exposed to and you've seen it, and now you can move on. You can experience other things. You know, and I think that's a good thing. That's good for your health, good for your wellness.
What a great message. Great message. I totally agree. Because, I mean, look at a person like you. Yeah, joined the military. You was planning on just going for 4 years, but you ended up enjoying it and you was able to be exposed to the whole world pretty much. So,
Yes, I agree, and I loved it.
yeah, yeah. So if you want to go out and you want to experience the world, just do it. Go and do it. And yeah, like you said, like Dad said, you can always come back to Hawaii, right?
Yep, I agree.
Right. Well, thank you again so much for joining and sharing your story. It's so awesome that we can share with people about our Kanaka that is living away from Hawaii and opportunities that they have, and that you can do it. You can do it. So if you want, just get out and do it and connect with people that is around you. Yeah, you'll be surprised to see how much of our Kanaka that is living away from Hawaii
Oh,
that is
yes.
there. They might be your neighbor. They might be right next to you, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So thank you again. I really appreciate it. Mahalo, mahalo, mahalo. You take care and you give my very best to your ohana.
Mahalo, Auntie.
I really enjoyed that interview. That was so awesome to talk with somebody, a native Hawaiian from humble beginnings in Pahala, Hawaii, who took advantage of these many opportunities that was given to him throughout life and experienced different locations throughout this honua, throughout this world. So awesome to hear that. So, gang, I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. If you did, please share this podcast. Share it with your family, your friends, anyone that you want to, literally, so we can continue to do more of these interviews. Because, the more you know, the more you grow, right? And then we can understand people even better. So, gang, please, before you leave, make sure you rate this podcast and help me to be able to continue by leaving a feedback. Let me know what you think about this podcast. And you can leave a comment here or contact me on my social media accounts. I have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and it's all under Hawaii Abroad. So please reach out to me and let me know what you think. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you can get early notifications when a new episode is released. Okay, gang, I hope you guys have a Maika'i week and tune in again next week where I will be sharing on Monday, Mana'o Monday, that's the culture lesson of the day, and then on Friday, Aloha Friday, and Talk Story with another former resident from Hawaii. Okay, gang, I hope you guys have a Maika'i week. This is Auntie Max signing off. Aloha.